Good evening, and once again, welcome to my YouTube channel. Yes, Maths with Ease. And I want to use this video to explain the practice question that is on slide 9, topic number 12 of Form 1 Mathematics. And the question is talking about a square floor is fitted with rectangular tiles. Please note the words. The floor is the one which is square and the tiles are rectangular. And these tiles of rectangular shape, they have a perimeter of 220. So we must have the floor to start with, which is square. That is our floor. And we must be having now the tiles, which are rectangular in shape. Let's continue. Each row, that is the tile lengthwise, carries 20 layers. 20 less tiles than each column. So along the breadth, if the length of the floor is 9.6 meters, and we understood that the floor is the one which is square in shape, so 9.6 meters, and because the dimensions of the tiles are given in centimeters, we need to change this one into centimeters as well. So 960 centimeters, 960 centimeters. And the perimeter of the tile itself, the perimeter is 220 centimeters. So there is x here, the length, and of course the distance from this particular point along this length, along this breadth of the tile is half of the journey, which means 110 centimeters. And if we have x here, then we must be having 110 minus x, because length plus width should give you half of the perimeter, which is 110. And therefore, if this is x, then this must be 100 minus x. 110 minus x. Please note that. And we are told that one side of the room carries 20 tiles less than the other side. I mean, it's just because the floor is square, it is the tile which is rectangular. So we can easily say, since the number of tiles that can fit along the length, we can already know that it is the length of the floor divided by the length of the tile, which is 960 divided by x. And the number of tiles that can fit along the breadth is the length of the breadth of the floor divided by the length of the breadth of the tile. And this is now where we have 20 tiles less. So if you minus the number of tiles along the breadth, which is 960 over 110 minus x, this is what is giving us 20. And if that is the case, then this is algebraic question which can easily be solved. And because the left-hand side is talking about a denominator which is x and 110 minus x, let us get the LCM, which is x 110 minus x, such that when we divide this denominator divided by this x, we get this part, which must be multiplied by 960. So we are going to have 960 multiplied by 110 minus x, minus what? This denominator divided by this part of this denominator, this LCM, divided by this part of the denominator is obviously the other part of the denominator. So multiplied by 960, we have 960x, which is equals to 20. Opening the brackets, we have 960 times 110 is 105 600, of course, minus 960x minus 960x is equals to 20 multiplied by now, because this is 20 over 1, and we can have this equation balanced by cross multiplication, which is multiplied by 100x minus x squared. 110x 110x minus x squared. Opening these brackets, we have now 105,600 minus this one minus this 960x minus 960x is minus 1920x, which is equals to 110 times 20 is 2200x, of course, minus 20x squared, because of this part times this. And this one is looking like a quadratic equation, and we have to expect it to be, and therefore we need to bring this term across to avoid dealing with negatives, and we have 20x squared minus 1920 minus 2200x, because those are like terms. Then we are simply saying minus 1920 minus 2200 is minus 4120x. Then plus, because this one maintains its position, plus 105,600 is equals to 0. And now that's a quadratic equation, we have to divide everything by 20, divide all by 20, and then we have x squared minus 206x minus 206x plus 5280 is equals to 0. It is now this equation that we must solve quadratically. Let us catch up with it on a different page. We have the equation which is x squared minus 206x plus 5280 is equals to 0. Using quadratic method, x becomes, of course, minus b plus minus b squared minus 4ac. I hope this is clear with you, over 2a. So our x here becomes our b, our a is 1 because it's a coefficient of x squared. Our b is minus 206 and our c is 5280. And therefore, minus b is minus 206, which is 206 positive, plus or minus 206 squared minus 4 times a, which is 1, times 5280. Everything over 2 times 1, which is 2. And this one takes us to x is equals to 206. X is equals to 206 plus or minus this one minus the whole of this, which gives us which this one minus this and the square root of that, which is actually the whole thing gives you 146. So 206 plus or minus 146, everything over 2. I have skipped the step of working out this bracket. 206 squared minus this product, and then whatever you get from there, you look for its square root. It gives you 146, which is equals to 206 plus 146 over 2, which is 176, or 206 minus 146 over 2, which is actually 30. So this can be x or this can be x. That can be x and that is actually x. So, but we have a way of explaining this. We said that we have a rectangular tile, and if this is x, this is 110 minus x. So if x is 176, then 110 minus 176 is going to be negative 66 centimeters, and therefore this is not possible. So the obvious value of x is equals to 30, and that is what we are going to work with moving forward. And in this case, the dimensions of the tile is 30, and 110 minus 30, which is actually 80. The dimensions of the tile is 30 centimeters by 80 centimeters, and that is question part A. What about part B? Let us look at part B of the question. Part B of the question talks of the number of tiles needed. How many tiles do we need? How many tiles do we need? So along the length, 960 divided by 30. I want to know what's that. 960 divided by 30. We have 32. Along the breadth is 960 divided by 80. 960 divided by 80, which is equals to 12. So the number of tiles required is actually 32 times 12 along the breadth. And what is that product? That is 32 times 12. We need 384 tiles. We need 384 tiles for the entire floor. Part C of the question, the cost of fitting the tiles is, if tiles are sold in dozens at shillings 1500 per dozen, and the labor cost is 3000. So we are expected to find the entire cost. So how many dozens are these? 384 divided by 12, divided by 12. A dozen contains 12 items. So we need 32 dozens, 32, each dozen costing 1,500. So times 1,500, you get 48,000, of course, plus the labor, which is 3,000, which is giving us 51,000. That is the cost of, of tiling the whole room. And that is the end of that question. It's such a long question. I hope you have followed. Thank you.